You look into the mirror, how about you say what you love about yourself? I'm a good person. I do great things. I love the fact that I woke up this morning. I woke up this morning. There we go. I am not supposed to be here. That's a lie. You are. You are. I took the topic this morning from what someone told me years ago. They told me that I shouldn't be here. They told me that life was not mine to have. I should not be happy that I'm a Black gay man who is HIV positive.
Welcome everyone to the Regina Queen Show. As you can see, I have here with me Titian Capri. Titian Capri is here to share his story to inspire those of you who are giving up hope. And we would like to encourage you not to give up hope. Our podcast today, this is our mission today. And the reason for our podcast is with the intent to encourage people, humanity around the world who are giving up hope. Titian Capri is a 54-year-old proud Black gay man celebrating 20 years living with HIV. HIV LGBT Advocate as well. Thank you, Titian Capri, for being here with me on the Regina Queen Show.
Well, thank you, Regina. I appreciate that. I was listening to the video there that you got the and I was like, okay, you better say that,
yeah.
I just had to take a sip.
I know. I know. That's why I'm giving you your moment to take your sip.
Thank you so much for having me. Huh?
I said it is your anthem. Taking your sip. Can I ask you what are you sipping on?
So today, everyone out there in Regina Queen fandom, I am sipping on a little nip. That's what we're going to call it. So a little Coke and a little nip. That's what we're going to call it.
Okay, little nip. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Titian Capri, for your inspiration to be here to share your story. Although, sometimes, sharing our stories could be, it can get sensitive when we share our stories because it could take you back to past trauma.
True.
And so it is an inspiration, an inspirational moment right now for you to be here because sharing your story could help someone to save a life.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. We are in the bigger fight or battle, if you would, for our planet, our culture, our family, or like I would like to say, my village, my tribe, my gang, and my chosen family. I know that's a lot, but that's pretty much, that's global, right? And so anything that we can do to help, to promote, to push, to inspire, that's what I'm here for. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you for that. So, Titian Capri, I would like for you to share some of your story as being part of the LGBT community. I know there's a story behind your journey. So can you share with us what life was like before?
Before my diagnosis.
Before your diagnosis, yeah.
Yes, indeed. I surely can. Thank you for that. Yeah. So as Regina stated earlier, I am a Black gay man living with HIV. I'm celebrating 20 years. My diagnosis was not a good one because I was just told about my diagnosis, and a doctor walked out of the room. So let me explain that just a little bit. So I was diagnosed with AIDS and only having 4 T cells. So for those of you who may be new to HIV, um, transmission, things like that, um, HIV is a virus or a disease that actually attacks your good cells, right? And what it does is it infiltrates those cells and it destroys them by putting the HIV virus into those cells, right? And the main um, idea or the main thought of the virus is to replicate, is to duplicate as much as possible. And some people would say that it's to attack you and do that. And so that's what happens. What happens is at a latter stage of HIV, which I was at the time, meaning that my viral load was high. That viral load means how many copies of the virus you have in your system, in your blood. Um, and then your T cells, which your T cells are your good cells. I'm gonna say that because I don't want to say healthy. Yeah, well,
Yes.
they're your good cells, right? And that's what the HIV virus attacks is your good cells. So you are good over 200 cells, right? 200 T cells, meaning that you're still at an HIV diagnosis, right? When you
Right.
go under 200, which I was at 4, I was at a latter stage of HIV. At the time, they called AIDS, right? It's still AIDS now, but now we use verbiage that is not so stigmatizing and traumatic to say
Mhm.
that it's a latter stage of HIV versus AIDS. I'm using AIDS in this context today because that's how I was diagnosed. So that's part of my journey. That's part of how it goes. So my viral load was through the roof. How many copies? So at the time, I had 750,000 copies, if I can remember, yeah, that correctly. And I only had 4 T cells. So at the time, I had lost a lot of weight. Um, yeah, I wasn't looking good. I was in the hospital, night sweats, all of the things were happening to me. And the doctor came in at the time, and it was not a doctor of color. And I'm saying that so that we can be clear on where my journey went, right?
Mm.
After that. So it wasn't a person of color. My doctor was not a person of color. They were a Caucasian male, and they came in and said that I had AIDS, and then they walked out of the room. I don't know if you all can imagine what that does to someone in a moment where you thought you had hope, right? You know, God, don't let me go. God, I didn't mean to do it. God, blah, 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 blah. All of the things that we do when things happen to us. And so this doctor just walked out. I didn't know what to do, what to say. Um, I had another hospital visit, and then I got really, really sick, right? So sick
Mhm.
that I passed out, and they rushed me to the emergency room. I got there, and I will never forget, I was on the AIDS floor.
Mhm.
And during this time, they had worked on me, come to find out what it was. I needed to get into treatment and things pretty quickly because I only had 4 T cells at the time that this doctor told me this. But then I went without medication, I went without treatment, I went without all of those things because I felt like I had let my community down, my family down, my church down, all of the things
Mhm.
like that, right? So
Right.
this in particular happened to me, and this sort of changed my trajectory of my whole life. I started having seizures. So okay, let me paint the picture. I'm laying in the hospital bed. I don't know how many T cells I have at this moment because I'm really, really sad. I done lost a lot of weight. I'm having night sweats and soaking the bed and can't keep medicine down. I tried to
Mhm.
take some vitamins, you know, everything but the right thing. And
Mhm.
then I started having seizures. And At this point, I felt that my life was done, right? I felt that I looked like death, that my life was gone. And so I started praying, asking God just to let me go to sleep and not wake up. And I thought about that in the sense of I let everybody down. They already told me that I was an abomination because I was Black and gay, right? They already
Mhm.
told me that this was my punishment,
Mhm.
um, that I would never have love again. I would never be able to be intimate with somebody because I was tainted and all of these things. So I said, you know what, God, then why not just go ahead on and let the chips fall where they may, right? I'm not taking the
Right.
medication. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And let me go. So
Mm.
my mother tells the story afterwards because she was there in the hospital with me at the time. She said that my body contorted, right? And my face contorted. It looked like I was having a stroke, she said, but I was
Mhm.
having seizures, right?
Right.
And she said that all she could hear was me, mama, 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 mama. That's all she could hear.
Mhm.
Me on the other side, I'm praying and asking God just to let me go, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I'm a very spiritual person, right? I grew up in the church, but I do know that there is a higher power. I do know that my God did not make a mistake and put me here. However, let me finish this part of the story so I can kind of bring it to a close. But
Okay.
while I was praying for that, it was dead silence in the dark is where I was, right?
Right.
I couldn't see anyone, but I could hear. What I heard was, if you don't shut up, if you don't stop asking me this, look. And then a big hand came out of the darkness. I kid you not, this is ugh, came out of the darkness and said, stop. And I said, I didn't say anything. The hand just kept saying, stop. Big hand came out the darkness. And this voice said to me, stop asking me that because I'm not letting you go. You have work to do. You got work to do. I need for you to get up out this bed. And I need for you to get better. And I need for you to do the work I put you on this earth to do. Now, y'all,
Mm.
we can say all day long who it was. We could say it was a tree. We could say it was the wind at the back of the neck or whistling through the sheets. We can say whatever we want to say. But I believe that that was my God, my spirit saying, hey, bruh, hey, this is not what you were put on this earth for. This is something that happened to you, right? This is
Mhm.
not you. I need
Mhm.
you to get up out this bed because I got work for you to do. And I know that may sound a little selfish in a sense, but I understood what it was. What's my purpose? Why am I here? Right. And so
Mhm.
the voice said, get up out the bed. The hand went away. It got really, really cold and dark. Then I opened my eyes to my mother, the nurse, my new doctor, and I think my grandmother maybe. I woke up, they had I was plugged up to a machine. They had all of these cords going in, well, not cords, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I was hooked up to what they call a TP bag, which it
Mhm.
was a bag. It looked like milky sugar, and it was a bag of vitamins and minerals and all of the things that I needed because I was just losing weight, right? In
Right.
this in this moment, I woke up and there was a doctor at the edge of my bed. He tapped my foot and said, there you go. He said, we got you. Now it's time for us to work on you coming back.
Mm.
And that doctor, and I'm going to say his name because I bill him as the doctor that came in to save me, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because he was a doctor of color. His specialty was infectious disease. And
Mm.
he sat down and told me, well, told my parents, my mother and my grandmother at the time, everything that was happening, what we needed to do, how we need to go about this. He's not gone. He's not lost. We just got to do some work, right? That's
Right.
more than any other doctor had said to me. And his name is Dr. Gath. Dr. Gath here in Houston, infectious disease. He's known all over because during this time back in 2005, he was really pioneering treatment for people of color that, were living with HIV or that had an AIDS diagnosis, right? So
Right.
in that moment, that was my saving grace, I believe, to show me that there was people out there that looked like me, that was not afraid to let me know where I was, that was real with me, right? But then my promise to my God and my spirit and to my community was that I was going to get well, I was going to do better, and not on my watch. So
Mm.
I know that was kind of a long story, Regina, but I wanted to give you all some context of where I came from and why I do the work that I do, right? Why it's so
Yeah.
important to have representation like myself, like Regina, like all of you in the audience to be able to let people
Understand.
know. Yes, yes,
Hmm.
indeed. And so that started me on my journey. Now, let me be clear with this, and then I'll hand it back over to you, Regina. I want to be clear. I didn't start the work right off. It took me almost 14 years later to really dive into who I was, who I am, and how I show up. So today, the person you see before you, that's the result of things happening to me and me saying I want to give up, and God saying, "No, bro, it's not your time. I put you
Yes.
on earth for this meal ticket, right? Until you
Right.
have used up all these meals, you're not going
Right.
nowhere, right?" And so, yeah, and so that's what happened. So in that 14 years, I started to make sure that I was a representation of someone I wish I had back 20 years ago. So I've
Mm.
really been doing this work whole heavily for about 6 years, being on the forefront, telling you my status, letting you know I'm Black, I'm gay, I'm living with HIV for about 6 years. But I have been doing the work behind the scenes, right,
Hmm.
since that diagnosis. I always want to make sure my community is good. So
Mm.
before that, I was doing the work. After my diagnosis, I was still doing the work, but I really got into this about 6 years ago just to make sure that, and it around the pandemic, right?
Right.
So 2019, well, 2018, 2019, and then the pandemic happened, and yeah, and things went that route. So I hope I answered your question because I kind of started talking a little bit.
Oh no, this is your story, this is your voice, and
Mhm.
it matters here on the Regina Queen Show to inspire and uplift uh, humanity.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank
I
you.
really do appreciate it. And you just embody, some of your story of not giving up hope because you were
Yeah.
at the point where you were ready to give up hope and just you were already on the
I had
verge.
given up. I had given up. Yeah. But we want to thank God for favor. We would thank God for angels. Thank God for my doctors, my mother, my grandmother. I thank God for them because if they were not there, I do believe that I would have given up and just did whatever it is that I needed to do, to not be here. But you sometimes think that you're by yourself and you're really not. There are people out there, and so much so, Regina, that I had the nurse counted. I had 82 visitors during my time in the hospital, like 82 people.
That's great.
They
That's
were
great.
coming and coming and coming. And so I
Powerful
said that,
team.
yeah, see, I said that to say this, that you just never know, right, where you're at and who's there for you. When things happen, people come out the woodwork when they're supposed to. I believe that people have a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And sometimes those people are not meant to be around you for a lifetime, but they come into your life for a reason and a season just when you need them, because those are God's children. Those are God's angels saying, hey, I need y'all to go get my man over here. Like he feeling real low, right? I need y'all to go over there and talk to Regina real quick for me to let her know that, you know, she's still in the fight. We still here for her, like things like that. So yes, I
Yeah.
was thankful for that.
Yes. And that is, wonderful for you to, embrace gratitude, being
Mhm.
thankful. Yes. So
Indeed.
thank you for sharing that,
Oh, thank
your
you.
journey of living with HIV and being, resilient through the transition of HIV
Yeah.
and going through the transition of HIV. And I don't know like what it could be like. I just couldn't fathom, the pain of living with HIV. But for you to still be here today
Mhm.
after 20 years,
Yes, ma'am.
that is such a blessing. That is such a
Indeed.
blessing. And this is the reason you are here on the Regina Queen Show, to encourage those of you who are encountering or has been diagnosed with HIV. Please do not give up hope. Get supported. Get support.
Mhm.
Reach out to resources. Do anything in your power that you can. Just do not give up hope, because there is a better tomorrow. And thank you so
Indeed.
much, Titan. And I would like to talk to you about um, your journey of being a Black gay man.
Mhm.
What have you encountered? Have you ever experienced like bullying and being judgmental with family members and
Mm.
friends? And, because some people are struggling with identity crisis.
Yes.
And some people are right now, today, as we speak, could be on the verge of committing
Correct.
suicide because of what others think. But which is so
Indeed.
important when it comes to humanity. Humans, we all have a right, to live and not to take our lives, or it's not fair for anyone to take someone's life. And it's not fair to
Mhm.
take your own life.
Indeed.
So, with all of that being said, I just feel that people who are struggling with identity crisis should just come out and don't go through the anxiety and the depressions and into this dark cloud, because depression is so painful. I know what depression is like, because I encountered depression after losing my kids. It gives you a sense of lost hope, like
Mhm.
there is no tomorrow.
And it does.
You don't care about anything in this world. Some people even get to the point to where they just give up on God.
Right.
So depression is, and it does not discriminate. So that's what we want to do, just encourage people those of you who are struggling, with identity crisis. Please get supported, get some help. Do not stay in that one room in that dark cloud and beat yourself up, because there is a better tomorrow. We have chances in life. We have choices in life. You never know. You may make a decision to say, hey, okay, so today I get to do this, or today I get to be this, or embrace your choice of life.
Right.
And
Indeed.
I hope I said that correctly and you understand. Make sense? So,
Yes, it does.
Titan,
It does. So
can you share with us, like,
yes,
have you ever encountered, like bullying, judgmental with, family members
indeed,
or
I
friends?
have. So I have. So I want to just touch on a couple of things really quickly, right? Um, the last portion that we talked about, I want to encourage individuals out there that are seeking help, that are looking for it. We may not be in the same city or state or even country, right? But I am on all social media. If you need someone to talk to, reach out to, resources, I know a plethora of people. Please feel free to do so in that. You don't have to tell me all your business. But if you
Mm.
need something, please do that. Um, I'm Titan Capri on all social media, and I'm sure we'll give out handles and all of that stuff a little bit later. But I want to say this to someone that's out there that's going through identity crises or having a moment. Regina asked me, did I feel any of that not being myself, being ridiculed, being made fun of, being called out of my name? She didn't say that, but I'm saying those are the things that come along with it. And I just did not have the environment that was conducive to me being who I am, me being who I believe God made me to be. So there was a
Mm.
lot of ridicule, there was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of me not being compared to being a man because I had a little bit more of a limp wrist, or I walked a certain way, or my booty was high, or all of these type of things, right? I'm a tall individual. I'm built like my mother. Hell, my dad even had a high booty. Like, it's something that I couldn't control. And the reason I'm saying that is because I couldn't
Mm.
control how I was born into this world. I couldn't control my skin color. I couldn't
Mm.
control my body and my makeup and things like that. I couldn't control my genes, right? There are a lot of things that when you are born into this world, there are things that you cannot control. You can't even control your environment or who you were born to. So I
Mm.
said all that to say this is that I fought a lot as a kid. I fought to be heard and to be seen. I fought to fit in.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times I got jumped because I was more feminine than most people. And what happens is you start to believe that it's only you, right? So
Mm.
this opens the door, I think, for depression and self-harm and self-hate and all of those things because you are not like everybody else. And the community, society, the TV, the media, they are hard pressed to let you know it. And so I was fighting battles on both sides or three sides, right? Almost like a diamond, you know, three corners because I fought with my family, right? My family
Mhm.
telling me that boys don't do this, boys shouldn't do that. I'm fighting outside and at school because people are saying that you're a punk, you're a sister, you're all of these things. And I thought I was like everybody else until they made me understand that I wasn't, right? And then you
Mhm.
go to church and God is the end all be all, the greatest, the higher power. And then pastors, preachers, women of the church, people of the church, they tell you that you're not going to see God being that way, that you're an
Mm.
abomination, right? That God doesn't like this. So all of this praying, all of this salvation that they told me about, it's not for me because
Mm.
I'm different, right? And so throughout my life, I had to deal with that. So much so that I had girlfriends and things all the time, but I believe that not that I didn't love girls, still I love women, I love girls, right? Just not in that manner, right? But
Right.
they are my sisters, they are my queens, they are all of those things, right? But I didn't have the ability to come out, as they say, right? Because if
Mm.
I would have come out at that moment, and this is for all of those out there that are listening to this or going to see this later or going to try to analyze it in a sense, we can say to someone, just come out and be free, right? But we
Mm.
know that that's not the case. Look at the current climate of the world today. We can't even be who we are, right? We can't even love who we love. We can't have Medicaid and Medicare. We can't have rights, legislation. We can't have any of those things, right? And so what I heard throughout was, well, I don't know why you hid it. You should have come out. You should have did this. You should have did that. But the
Mm.
same people that were saying this were the same people calling me punk and sissy and mama's boy and all of that. Then these same men that were saying that I was a little fruity, I was this, I was that, they were the same ones asking me to go with them behind closed doors. So I didn't have an out. I didn't have a way of doing it. Even if I wanted to just be who I was, I would either get beat for it, I would either get ridiculed, I would either get kicked out. So I did things in my childhood that quote unquote made me a man, right? I had to have all the girlfriends. I had to have all of this. I had to be tough. You couldn't outdo me in anything. Even when I went into the military, I was going into the military, right, to be a man. And what I know now is that I've always been a man. I'm just not that version of a man that you wanted me to be, right? I'm the man that God put on this earth. I'm the one that's here. So I say it in my identity. I'm a Black gay man, right? Never said I was a woman, never said I wanted to be, never said any of those things. But I didn't have the autonomy or the opportunity to be who I thought that God put me on this earth to be, because so many people told me that I was wrong. I'm not of God, things like that. So when I do things like this, when I speak about my past and how it goes, I am clear to make sure that I give you the bad along with the good, right? I give you the ugly because I lived through that. And so last year I started doing mental health sessions to kind of really deal with that, right? You said in my introduction that I was 54 years old this year. I'm 54. So at 53, I started doing mental health sessions, seeing a therapist so that I could talk about my childhood, because the work that I do, I'm constantly bringing up or constantly in discussion about my journey. And a lot of my journey, I packed away and threw away the key. And here in these last couple of years, those things have come to the surface and I've had to deal with them, right? In the sense of these people are probably long gone, right? I had to deal with the fact that I was 13 years old and the guy was 35, 36, right? And touching me in ways that he should not have been touching me. I had to deal with the fact that I went to tell my family and they didn't believe me. They said that, same thing they say about some of the girls. Oh, you just out there being fast. Stop wearing those short shorts. I'm a teenager. I run track. I'm out here doing these things. And so it was a life of, and I'm not going to say my life was totally bad, because I did have some good times, but I think that my life could have been much more than what it was if I was allowed to be who I felt I was, right? They let everybody else live and play and do, but I couldn't do that, right? All of a sudden I became the person to look out for, but it was the family friend, it was the Uncle Joe or Jerry or Mike that you had to really look out for, because the kids were sitting on his lap a little too long. But me showing feminine qualities, right? I was the one that the target was put on his back. And so until this day, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins, my family friends of the family, things like that, they all come to me and talk to me and things like that. And people always ask, well, why do they do that? And I was like, because I'm not a bad person, right? Something happened to me in that. And that's what my mental health sessions had to really clear up, because I blame myself. I blame myself for all the hatred. I blame myself for all of the homophobia. I blame myself for not being man enough. I blame myself for not being father enough, not being son enough, not like all of these things. But a lot of my family didn't know what was happening to me during that time, because I tried to tell somebody before and they dismissed me. And so I said, well, it must be what's for me, because it keeps happening, right? Nobody's
Right.
believing me. So that's where I'm at. So yes, I did have a lot of that. It's one thing to live in the hood. It's one thing to live in the projects and
Mm.
to be Black and gay, right? And it's a
Right.
whole other thing if you add HIV onto that. But when I was younger growing up in Third Ward, Texas, in the CUNY home, I didn't have the ability to be, right? And remember back then, Regina, and everyone else that's listening in, that was only
Yes.
two things: either you were straight or you were gay.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. We didn't have the verbiage, we didn't have the language that we have now. We didn't have the understanding that people were born different. You know what I mean? And it's people
Mm-hmm.
still to this day tell me that I wasn't born this way, right? So
Right.
all of that, yes, I had all of that growing up, and but I also had people, again, I believe, who were angels that looked out for me, made sure that I was good, right? And they did it in a way
Right.
to where it didn't, buck, whoever else. They called me in quietly, mended my cuts and bruises, and they made sure that I was good and all of those things. And I thank God for them. But I could only imagine if somebody is going through that right now, what type of um, upliftment, encouragement could somebody have given me during that time if they only knew what I was going through? But there were so many things that were working in tandem with the homophobia, the molestation, all of the things that was happening, that it keeps you at bay from, as they say, coming out. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that it's a coming out. I believe that you can disclose who you are. But if you think about it like this, Regina, if the world is telling me 150 million times that I am something, sooner or later, I'm going to stop fighting that I'm not that. I'm just going to contort to whatever it is and just let it be so that I can go. In our trauma studies, we learn the 4 F's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, right? I have been a fighter since day one. My mama can tell you. When I tell you all you had to do was say my mama and we was gonna rearrange some furniture, that's how I
Mm-hmm.
was during my childhood because I was so tired of everybody like just picking on me just because of who I was, right?
Like
Then
beating you down,
there's fight,
with,
right? And
beating
then
you down with
there's
words, right?
exactly, yes, indeed. But then there's flight. A lot of times I ran, right? A lot of times I ran because I just wasn't safe, right? A lot of times I would freeze, right? I would freeze in the sense of the molestation, touching me inappropriately. These men that were up on the corners that were men, doing things to young boys and stuff like that. I would freeze. And then there came a time where I just fawned. Fawn means that I just get along to get along. So even though I knew it was wrong, even though I knew that it wasn't good, I just wanted to hurry up and get it over with to make sure that I was good and that I could move on, right? And so a lot of times we don't look at people in the sense of the human aspect, saying that they're
Mm.
human. It's not what's wrong with them, it's what happened to them. And a lot of times what happens to you shape how you move and you groove in this world. And a lot of times, like you said earlier, depression, right? Suicide, right? Mental health issues, things like that. All of those substance issues, all of those things come from us not being able to express who we are. And we cope in a way that we compartmentalize it. And then we keep pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing it down until one day it pops. Something breaks, the
Mm.
lock breaks, and then you have to deal with all of that. So I know I said a lot, but yes, there was the bullying, there was all of there was the fighting, there was expulsion from schools, and all of the things that had happened because I was not allowed to be me. I had to be this form of a man and nothing else was going to work.
Yes.
I know that was a lot, Regina.
Thank you. That was, well, actually, this is your story. This is your journey. And thank you for sharing that with us. There are
Thank
people who need to, hear your story. There are people who, like I said earlier, are people who are not disclosing,
right.
not disclosing. And we just want to encourage people to not give up hope. And you have done fantastic through your journey
Thank you.
because you chose life
Yes. Yes.
over death.
Yes.
Because people
And
have a choice. You can take your life. You have that choice, and you
you
can also
do.
take your life.
Yes, you do. And I want to say this, Regina, because I just want to be clear with the audience and with who's ever going to witness this or experience this, is that a lot of times we have a choice, but the choice has already been made for us long ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because of the way that we've been treated, the way that we've been done. So I'm a stickler about representation. I'm a stickler about um, being who you are and loving who you are. But I'm also a stickler of the truth. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to change people's minds or to get them to understand where you're coming from. What I had to do in that moment is listen to my higher power, and I made a choice to live. But I didn't make this choice to live as I live today. I just made the choice to live, right? And so it was hard getting to where I am today. So I don't want to sugarcoat that for anybody. I don't want anybody to feel that you just flip the switch on and you good and you're gravy. There will be trials and tribulations. There will be times that you're going to ask
Struggle and
yourself, wow,
obstacles.
exactly, exactly. And so on my platforms, I'm always about, yes, you are it. You're the driver. You're the queen. You're the king. You're it. You're the one, right? But what I want to really put out there to everyone is that you have to love yourself through all of it, through all of it. I was
Or no
only
matter
trying to
what
love
you're going
myself.
through, no matter who you
Yes,
are,
ma'am.
what you're going through, you have to love yourself.
Yes, ma'am. I was only trying to love myself through the good. I wasn't
Mm.
trying to love myself through the bad. And then I had to figure out, find out, understand that it was not my fault. Somebody else brought their trauma to my doorstep and left it. And I had
As
to deal with it. And I
as a
had to
child,
deal with it. Yes.
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 And
And
people. I'm sorry about that, Titan.
yeah,
People. I just want to throw this in. I have this chain of thought. People who are traumatized as adults has been um, it goes back into their
yes,
childhood, because when a person spread a seed into a child's head at being a child, that will affect their life endeavors.
yes.
And people know when to start. They know when to put a seed into a
Yeah.
child's. Well, I'll put it like this.
They
They
know how to
know
know. Yeah.
you have to, when you grooming a child, you raise that child the way you want that child to go. So a
Yes.
child's mind is like a sponge. So therefore that leaves it open for someone to put good seeds and bad seeds.
Yes.
And when you put
Yes.
good them bad seeds in that child head, that child grows up and it affects their lives and people lives around them.
Correct.
So that pretty
Correct.
much, goes along with your childhood
Yes,
trauma as
ma'am.
well. And
And,
it's really
and
sad that people will take advantage of a child. Everyone have a human right to live freely,
yes,
and to be inspired by greatness and love and success.
indeed. Indeed. I want to say this, Regina, to add on to what you just stated. A lot of times, parents, family members, community, they don't know that they are traumatizing you because it's so ingrained in our community. This culture that we have, right, of be a man, be a woman, you can't be anything else, or this culture that we have where we protect the pedophiles, we protect those individuals, right? Or we make children go over, like I said, to Uncle Joe's house or whoever's house or Ray's house, and they don't want to go. I mean, they literally act up, act a fool not to go to this person's house, but you send them anyways. See, and our culture is like that. So yes, I think that we have to understand, they have this saying, hurt people, which I believe that a lot of times what we do in our adulthood is from things that we have not been able, right, to truly understand from our childhood. We think that it's right because that's the culture, right? We think that this happens because this is what's supposed to happen. Just like whooping a child, right? Back in the day, that was your discipline. Now it's child abuse. Now it's abuse because it's that. And I'm not saying that whooping somebody is right, but I'm saying look at the culture, how it shifts, right? People will say, oh, I used to get beat with extension cords and all kind of stuff, and I turned out okay. But are you really okay though? Are you really okay? Because I got the same thing. And during my mental health sessions, Regina, I found out that I was not okay, that it was not good for that to happen to me in that manner. And because it happened to me, I got beat because I was different. And I didn't say whooped because that's what they called it. The culture called it a whooping, discipline. But you literally got beat because you got hit with anything that was around, right? And so here I am. Here I am trying to figure out who I am, why God chose this for me. And then people telling me that it's not of God and stop acting like that. Boys don't do that. And then I get whooped because I'm acting feminine. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm thinking I'm like everybody else. So I think sometimes we have to really understand what our culture is and how far back this goes. This goes all the way back to slavery and beyond, because this is a thing that has been assimilated into our communities, into our ecosystem, that we say is good. You tell somebody that you fell down and you scratched your knee, they tell you to get up and go wipe it off. Y'all don't coddle him. He a boy. Boy is supposed to do that, you know? And that's not the way that the world goes. I think that being human, understanding that you have human emotions and things like that is something that's really real. And then I had to really understand, and I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna give it back over to you, Regina. I had to understand that the trauma 90% of the time was not mine. It was somebody else's trauma that they put on me. I always say that you are trauma adjacent, right? There's always somebody over here. And then people will say, oh, you know, Regina, it wasn't that bad. Regina, it was just a car wreck. But that car wreck could have messed Regina up because Regina couldn't digest the car wreck for what it was, because it was something traumatic to her. But to the person that was sitting on the side of you that just got up and walked away, it was totally different. But in that moment, Regina doesn't have the ability or the community or the space to really understand what just happened. She has to hurry up and deal with it and move on because everybody else is moving on. And that's where I was during that childhood growing up. It was a lot of that. And I had to be an adult really quickly because I was the oldest.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, thank you for sharing that. That was very, very, very powerful. And it goes back. It goes back to, you know, the childhood. It goes back to that. And when you say that we take on people, your trauma, your past trauma is not your trauma, it's someone else's trauma. And that's where I do believe in hurt people, because people do put their mental illness on someone else's.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you can tear down a whole entire foundation.
Yes.
One person
Oh,
can tear down a whole entire foundation. It traps people of
yes.
being who they want to be, what they want to do in life. You know, a person may want to be a lawyer or a doctor, but a person can't get to that point because they have encountered someone else's trauma and it
Yeah.
affected their journey. So
Yeah.
that is really true. Thank you for
You're welcome.
Titan Capri for sharing your story.
You're
And I
welcome.
really do hope, you know, everyone, that Titan Capri's story will encourage you and uplift you if you're going through any type of, if you're encountering any type of domestic abuse, um, mental illness. You know, there are resources and you can get help. And then I would like to talk about, before we go, Titan Capri, about the
Mhm.
statistics in the Black community. And with HIV, I have here in 2022, Black people accounted for about 12% of the United States population, but made up 38% of new HIV diagnosed and 40% of people living with HIV. Black women face particularly high rates of new infections, and Black gay bisexual men are also at a heightened risk. So in the Black community, Black Americans have the highest rate of HIV diagnosed among racial ethnic groups.
Yes.
And
Yes. It,
yeah, yeah. So everyone, just be mindful out there, be safe, and always know, you know, there are resources and support.
yes, indeed. I,
We
I,
talk.
I want to say this really quickly before we end, Regina. Those stats are alarming because you heard that we only make up a certain percentage of the population, right?
Okay.
How is it that
Okay.
we are leading in HIV diagnosis and we only make up a certain percentage of the population, which in reality, right, we're not even making up half the population, but we are at 40% new
Yeah.
diagnosis. And so sometimes you have to really think about what that means. So let me break it down to you all like this, right? Let's say you have 10 people, okay? You have 10 people, right? And let's say that three, maybe four of them are someone of color, right? And two of them, no, and three of them are men, and one is female, one is a woman. I'm hoping I got that right. So you see 10 people, right? We're just going to put it there. But if you look at it, right, they don't make up half the population of that 10. It's only four, right? So people that are not of color makes up 60%, let's just say.
Mm.
You with me? But
Yes.
they are not the ones that are living with HIV. They're not the ones that are disproportionately affected by HIV, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
those of us that are uh, um, the four out of the 10. So if you go in and you put someone not of color in a affluent neighborhood and they got money and all of that, and you put them over there and put those four people of color over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
HIV is running rampant through their community because four out of the 10 people are all people of color and all in one neighborhood, all in
Mm.
one community, right? And so a lot of times you have to
Right.
really look at what that looks like. People say, oh, well, they shouldn't be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. Or it's condoms. You need to use condoms and do this. But none of us would be here if we all wore condoms. None of us would be able to be here because you wouldn't be able to be pregnant according to what they say with condoms. So y'all miss me with that one. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, what I'm saying is we got to be aware of
You got a
these.
point right there.
Yes, yes. Like, I mean, because, Regina, I tell the people all the time, look, stop playing with me because none of us, right? When I facilitate a training, I said, so How many of your parents wore condoms?
Right.
Couldn't have. How many of your parents were on birth control? Couldn't have, because you wouldn't be sitting here with me right now. So, y'all, we got to stop this. We got to stop making it such a taboo, nasty thing so that we can understand what it is. I said that with those numbers, Regina, to say this. If 4 out of 10 is living with HIV, and the 4 are people of color, that's 4 too many. That's 4 too many of us not to know stats, not to know resources, not to know what HIV does, how it works, not to know what a latter stage of HIV is, not to know STIs, not to know your status. That's too much. And I'm going to tell you all, and this may be a shock, but HIV doesn't discriminate. It is one of those things. It is about the blood. It doesn't care what type of blood it is. It's about the blood. So if it enters your body, it's not caring whether or not you're 60, whether or not you are a teenager, whether or not you are someone with a disability, whether or not you got mental health issues, whether or not you have you don't have a car, you live in the projects. It does not discriminate. And I think we need to really, really wrap our heads around that. And that goes into mental health things. And then also too, we talked about suicide, right? And we know that that S word is an ugly word and we don't like to talk about it. But a lot of times, if we cannot be who we are, we can't love who we are through it all, that right there, right, brings up self-harm. And then we have people telling us that we shouldn't be here. So why am I going to fight? What am I fighting for? If people are telling me I shouldn't be here and I'm wrong, I'm an abomination, all the things they said to me, and you saw I laid in that bed. I didn't want to take my own life, but I said, you know what, God, do what you need to do. That's what it is. That's what it is. So I wanted to say that to you all because, Regina, I like to break it down like I'm in the 5th grade, right?
Yes.
I got a 5th grade education and I'm only holding up 4 fingers, right? I need people to know. So you may not be able to get all the stats and the big words and all of that, which I don't, look, I'm not going to do that. I said, let's break it down. There's 10 people, 4 of them have HIV. That's 4 too many, right?
Too many.
It's good for you to know the information, but also it's good for you to go somewhere where people are talking your talk, where people are communicating to you in a way that you can understand. And then also communicating with you in a way that you feel empowered, right? And you can go out and do what you need to do for your family. So y'all, thank y'all so much. I know I took up a little bit more time, but I really want to say that.
This is perfect. Perfect. It was yours. This is your story. Again, I say thank you so much because we need to know, people need to know what goes on in the mind of, a person who is part of the LGBTQ community and the things that the community have to go through and has been through and went through and how, they got there, and how they persevered through so much, trauma and stuff, like that. So
yes, indeed.
And this is why you're right here to share your story.
Yes, thank you so much. And y'all, we're going to always give you the truth, right? This is my first time being on the Regina Queen show, but if you see me out, I come back to the show. We're going to always educate, but we're going to always be real. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be happy, right? But do know that there are people out here that are fighting for you, right? As well as themselves, but you have a space. So if you need something, please just reach out. I'm Titian Capri on all social media. And I just really want you all to know that we're a family, right? We're a family. I'm not saying that you can't share your story, but maybe you want to share your story in another way that you can't share with your family or someone close to you. Maybe you need a person that you just met on the Regina Queen show. I'm here. I'm here. So please, please, please do that.
Yes, thank you, because we encourage you all not to give up hope. Again, that there's a better tomorrow. And I love to encourage humanity not to give up hope, because humanity have a human right to live.
Yes,
And
yes.
since my son was murdered, someone took his breath, took
Hmm.
his life. And I'm just like, my son didn't get a chance to experience anything in life. He was so young at a tender age,
Yeah.
and he had choices and decisions that he could have made in his life. So giving up hope isn't an option, everyone. Giving up
Amen.
hope isn't an option. So we're not going to do that here on the Regina Queen Show. We're going to empower you and encourage you to keep on living and keep on going, no matter who you are, your race, ethnicity. We do not care. Your life matters. Life is beautiful.
Yes.
Life is what we make of it. And Titian Capri, before we go, I would like to ask you if you can share what you're doing right now. And I know you have a brand. So if you can
Hmm.
give us a short glimpse of what you're doing with your brand and your website, if anyone would like to purchase something
Okay.
from Titian Capri.
So yes, so hey everyone, thank y'all so much for having me. I had a really good time here. So my brand is the Titan Capri Experience, and what I believe is that everyone should have a human experience, right? And what I mean by that is I say all the time that I'm the H in HIV, I'm human, right? HIV is not me, it's something that happened to me, right? And so I always want to have an experience. So here in Houston, I have events like Brunching with Titan, where we have a brunch and I bring in community members and allies, and we just love on each other, right? Have a moment. You don't have to bring anything, you don't have to do anything. We just want to love on you, give you your flowers while you're still here, and let you know that we see you. I have a morning show, which is Titan in the Morning, every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Insta, Podbean, X. I'm out there, right? I'm out there.
Yes.
But I also have a Titan Capri Experience shop, and the shop is for you to go on and get t-shirts, mugs, coffee mugs, socks, candles, all of the things, even a 40-ounce travel mug. Hold on, hold on.
Oh,
I'm gonna reach over here real quick, y'all.
yeah. Let's see.
Even a 40-ounce travel mug. You can get you a 40-ounce
That is
travel mug.
beautiful. I
Yes,
love it.
thank you. And you
And
see my
okay, so
logo.
the logo, yes,
Yeah.
everyone look at the logo. Is
Uh-huh.
Titian Capri, get the color, the hairstyle,
Yes.
everything.
That's me. And
Yeah,
so,
that's beautiful.
and thank you for that, Regina. And so I just really want to um, encourage everyone to have an experience. And then I want you to come in the mornings to Tighten in the Morning, and I want you to come and sip with me, right? Come and have a good old sip where we talk about things, where we talk about what's going on in the world, but we also are real about what's happening. We're not going to sugarcoat it like that. We're going to sip, we're going to sing, we're going to say good morning, and we're going to do all of the things. We're going to do all of that. But yes, I'm over here in my corner of the world doing what I believe God put me on this earth to do. And I believe that God put me on this earth to have an experience. And I want
Mhm.
to say that my purpose in all of this is to be me, right? Be exactly who God made me, be exactly where the universe placed me. So thank you all so much. It's the Titan Capri experience, but you can type in Titan Capri. I guarantee you type in Titan Capri on all search engines, and I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come up. I'll have Regina put into the comments later on, or maybe tag it for my shop and the link to my shop. I'm also on TikTok with the shop as well. So, all right, Regina. Phew. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. It's sharing your brand and sharing the story behind your brand.
Thank you.
So I'm so grateful to have you here to inspire and
Yeah,
empower humanity. So what you
indeed.
are
Thank
doing,
y'all
you're
so much.
doing great. Yes, you're doing really great by your community.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I encourage you to, I got to get my nails done. I encourage talk that tea. So I got so we just thank you everyone for just being here to listen to our podcast. We had planned to have a 30-minute podcast, but by the grace of God, someone needed to hear a longer story. Yeah, so
It's my fault, y'all. I'm a talker.
no,
It's
it
my
is
fault.
okay.
I'm a talker.
It is okay. We had a beautiful time, a beautiful
Thank you
conversation.
so much.
And I'm so grateful for it because you have given us, you embodied your story to the world.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hope. Your story embodies hope.
Thank you so much.
Hope. And
I
thank you.
That.
So thank you, everybody. We are grateful again, and I love the fan.
Oh yes.
So we had to go out with a bang.
Wait a minute, look. So we got to do.
Yes, and that is one of your morning anthems. And can you do the sip too? The sip.
Yes. So I don't have my regular cup here today because y'all know I got a little nip. We started out with a nip
every morning.
But every morning, yeah, every morning we sip, and this is how we sip. Okay, this is how we sip. And then we say, good morning. Now, I know to some of y'all, that sounds like a slur, but that's how we sip at Titan in the morning. Y'all don't believe me? Y'all come join me every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on all social media, and we'll see about that sip. We'll see about that sip. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all.
Yes, we love you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.